Green Lantern Corps, issue 7, legacy number 110, Morgan Hampton and Jeremy Adams writing, with Fernando Pasarín on the art on this issue. So this was an interesting one to go into, because the last Green Lantern issue was the start of the crossover, and that issue ended with the Grey Lantern, or the power battery, coming online and sending a shockwave of basically anti-emotion throughout the universe. So I was very curious to see how they were going to handle that in this issue, or the issues afterwards. Now, the colors are definitely muted, right? And something you'll notice is that the very last page, there's finally something that has vibrant colors, and it really pops because it's not black and white, there's still color, but it's very muted color. So that last page really pops when you see what we get to there.
Yeah, well, and all of the stuff with John's ring, that is his mom. I forget, I'm drawing a blank on her name. I can't find it on the page. Everything
mom,
with her is very, the mom. Everything with that is also very bright and green to make it stand out.
That's true. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
against the page, which is nice. But yeah, the lack of emotion in the universe and just everybody talking rationally, including Guy Gardner, I thought was a nice development. This.
I mean, that's basically the gist of this issue for the most part, is this idea that everyone, because they don't feel any emotions, is also lacking motivation to really go and do things. And we see that everyone, we see Jess, we see Guy, like you say, Guy's not his usual self, Jess isn't her usual self. Everyone just is very, it's so interesting, because it's like, okay, we're writing all these characters, not that they're all incapable of doing things, but they'll only do things if they're very logically explained to them, because they're not inspired by passion or emotion or by a desire for anything. And one of the details that's very interesting is that there's two characters who are not organic that have not been affected by this. That is Aya, who's been recently introduced in the book from the Green Lantern show, and the I forget his name, but the Amazo bot,
Jadestone,
thank you. But they're everyone's acting weird. We want to fix this, but everyone else doesn't feel anything. So how do we deal with this? And it was very interesting seeing the robotic characters be the ones that are everyone's acting so robotic. We need to do something here. So
well, and I like that Jadestone and John's ring mom is they're, because of the will, they are powered by that will. They almost have that desire of no, it's our job to keep this thing going, right? We need to kind of get them, push them in the right direction. So that was a lot of fun, I thought, to see it coming from those characters who are not, or like you said, organic.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's obviously the ring that's got John's mother's essence in it, is trying to convince him to do something. Then she goes to them to talk to them. And, they round up some of the characters, and they're all in their civvies. Hal's in just his, pilot jacket. Sinestro's in, some regal gear from his planet. Jess is in, a shirt. They're all just kind of slumming it. And, that's the thing. When we see Guy, he gets, shoved or knocked into, and Guy just doesn't care enough. Guy would normally, get up and want to pick a fight. He'd want to punch. He'd want to do whatever. And he's not doing that. So it's all very whatever. So they end up asking Kyle about stuff, about the source wall, and about the fact that the avatars, what do they call them, the entities, are all trapped in there, and maybe they could help restore emotions to the universe, because we kind of need them. And meanwhile, Starbreaker and that are eating planets. Him and all these people that he's brought back are consuming worlds across the universe.
I'm going to show my ignorance here. I didn't realize the Starbreakers would grow too giant and actually eat things like Galactus. So that was, I was like, oh, is this just a representation of them sucking the life force? It's no, it seems like they get giant and do these type of things, which I like a big giant threat like that. It looks cool.
Yeah, plus it's a ticking, well, not a time bomb, but it gives us a reason to want to move quickly, right? So it's giving us a big threat that's killing everyone. And it's a whole thing. So, I think this is all really good continuation of all the ideas of this crossover, this event, whatever you want to call it, that we've been building up to for quite some time in the book, across both books. So, they go to the source wall, right? And it's a whole thing. And again, it's very muted colors and, all the rest of it. But Starbreaker is also like aware that they're on the way to the source wall. So there's a bit of a race to get there. But yeah, on that final page, when we see all the entities, like they are fully colored. They're very vibrant. It's like this big moment, and because it's been so muted throughout the issue, like you said, other than that one green ring for a few panels, those colors really pop. And because it's all 7 entities, you get all the colors. You get vibrant red, vibrant blue, vibrant yellow, green, orange, so on. So really dig that. It was a really nice visual touch because it really felt like a big change when you get to the last issue. But yeah, they say that they've been waiting for the Lanterns to come and get them. So
yeah, and it's also why kind of they've been in a spectrum and everything's been wonky, right, with the powers, because these entities have been reaching out past the source wall, which I didn't realize that's where they had went, because I didn't read that era of Green Lantern at that point where I guess Kyle had absorbed them all to get the power of the White Lantern.
Yeah, there's an editor's note about Kyle putting them there. It was all to do with his White Lantern stuff. Yeah,
and all that stuff. And so they've been trying to reach back on. So that's when Carol had seen the Predator, it was just a projection. It wasn't the real one. That's why it was a little bit off and weird. So they've been calling to these people to come and free them.
Yeah, well, that projection makes sense if they were reaching out. And obviously, we assumed that everyone manifesting emotional powers from the spectrum was just because the power batteries were destroyed. But and that may still be part of it, but certainly it seems like, no, them reaching out were spreading these emotions throughout the universe, and that was, causing some of these problems. So I'm kind of excited to see what we're doing there, because I wouldn't necessarily consider these entities to be allies normally. They're kind of very, if not outright antagonistic, they're at the very least very neutral, like Godzilla, where they just, they're very much like they serve what they are, and they're not interested in right or wrong.
Yeah, I feel like the blue and the green ones are more they're less neutral, because they've had more to do, like the blue with everything with Hope and all that type of stuff. They're perfectly fine to help. And then Ion, I mean, Kyle's had the Ion power before that has driven him to go do things as the Torchbearer. So and then of course you've seen Parallax, right? Have his own
also
type of deal. So
because they're all taking forms of different like animal types, even though they're not real animals per se. It's very Power Rangers. Like if this was like all the Rangers were going to get Zords of all these, and this was all the colors, like you could see it. Yeah, so that's fun
for sure. And I've always had a soft spot for these just concepts of like, of course, Rage looks like this big bull, right? Because as we said in another, we're talking about other things. Red is that color of anger, right? And bulls see red, so of course the anger entity is this big bull-looking creature. So
not an actual bull, but similar to a bull.
And then and Parallax looks like that big insect, scary-looking creature, brings fear and stuff. So very, very eager to see where this goes, because now I feel like maybe with these powers, we're gonna see some giant, maybe Power Ranger like thing where they're imbued with this power and they can fight the gigantic Starbreakers.
Oh yeah, what if each of these characters who came here all get like one of these entities inside them, right? And maybe that's why it's good that Sinestro's here, because like he can take the yellow one because he's used to dealing with that energy and so on.
Yeah,
or something like that.
And if I remember right too, during the John's reign, didn't he end up with the Indigo? And that's how we found out how the Indigo power worked. Right?
Yeah, that was very late in the run, but I've been digging like the build up to this crossover, and I think I'm liking it a lot so far, because it feels, I love how cohesive like the Green Lantern corner of the universe feels. And I know it's only 2 books, but it's felt like there's a lot of effort's been put in to make it feel like there is an ongoing thing here. So I'm very pleased with this. It's something that I've said a few times about the main Green Lantern book, but I'm extending it to Core as well here, because I think it fits in nicely with it. It's not that like it's some of the best comics I've ever read, and it's not like any individual issues like an amazing top of the line book. It's kind of like, this is like a good example of when the run as a whole is more than like any single issue in the run, where I'm just really enjoying the overall direction of what it's doing. And I like each of these characters gets to play a part in the story. And even characters like Aya, who I don't really know because I never saw the animated series. Like, you know, I think this little moment for her in here where she's like, oh, I can still feel things because I'm in a synthetic body, but
Right.
and her feeling concerned that no one else can feel anything is like a good little bit for her because it made me like her in a way that, not that I disliked her before, but she was just kind of a new character to me. But this was like, oh, this is like an interesting little bit for her where now I'm kind of like empathetic to her because she's like one of the only characters who's still trying to solve all these problems. And that's the sort of thing that makes me care about a new character. So, no, I'm digging this this Starbreaker supremacy. Is that what the art's called? I think it is.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yep, Starbreaker Supremacy.
Should have called it the Sorrowverse or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, well, and that was the other thing too, is I wonder if there's anti-entities, because if you look at the cover, there's this big bird-looking thing that Sorrow's on top of. Then it looks like Starbreaker's on something else. So I'm wondering if we're going to get anti-entities as well, because there's also those group of guys that when Starbreaker shrinks back down to regular size, he's looking at Nathan or Nathaniel, whatever, the sad guy, the emo lantern. And he's like, yeah, there's no feeling. This is exactly what I wanted. And it kind of seems like they have no purpose now, you know? That they're all just kind of standing around like, well, what's next? Because they're not going to eat these planets like the Starbreakers or the Suns, you know? So yeah. Yes, Nathan. All right. Just wanted to double check.
Yeah.
So cool. Yeah. A lot of fun.
Yeah, no. Digging it. Enjoying each chapter of the story. And the plus of this being in both books right now is that it's effectively a story that's double shipping, which means we're getting through it at a nice pace. So that's cool as well. All right, Matt, what are you giving Green Lantern Corps issue 7?
I mean, it's a straight 8.
Yeah, I mean, I think I feel that way. I think it's a solid. I think it's a great ongoing comic book, and you know, and I'm sort of saying that as Green Lantern and Corps together rather than just specifically Corps.